Hello and welcome to Ginger Prime. My name is Brian, and if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back, Soul Nation. You're beautiful, and you know it. And that's what you get for subscribing here, by the way. Free compliments at the start of videos. So today we're actually diving into some data minage, some leaked legendary weapons, armor sets by class. There is a ton of information here, and I want to kind of just pad this intro slightly just in case you don't want to have any of these legendary weapons spoiled. That way it gives you hopefully plenty of time to run at the computer and switch to another video. No judgment whatsoever. Also, if you're looking for a particular set, let's say you love the Devastator or the Trickster, and who wouldn't because they're freaking awesome, you can just jump to that section in the video. So feel free to kind of jump around and peruse. I'll try to chapter everything because there is a ton of information here today. Now that I've given everybody a chance to equally bounce out or skip to where they need, we're going to go through this. There's a ton of legendaries that are leaked. Obviously, just kind of a caveat, this is data minage. Maybe they don't make it into the game, maybe they do. So use this to kind of, I don't know, theory craft or to get excited about the game. But just note that it doesn't guarantee that these are all going to be in the game itself. Now, we will see some repeats that we've seen in the demo before. So chances are really good that this is probably the launch set because this was taken apparently from the full release of the game. So with all that out of the way, let's dive in, let's have some fun, and let's start with our Cannonball set. This is for the Devastator. I'm going to mainly focus in on the different mods here. So just kind of going forward, guys, this is also coming from MP1 or MP First. I'll include a link in the description so you can just kind of jump to the content if you want to go read this for yourself and not have me react to it. So feel free, and hopefully you enjoy the content itself. But anyway, outside of this, we're going to see a couple stats: anomaly power, status power, and then cooldown reduction. But overall, the mods are really it's going to separate this apart. So Brawl is a tier 3, boost your melee skill damage by 100%. Melee is also an interrupt, so if you guys want to be able to stop those bosses, those captains from doing horrible things to you, that's going to be very important. And also it looks like it's going to double the damage there. Then you have Move Groove. Moving increases your anomaly power by 50,304. Now, just note these numbers themselves are probably reflected obviously as the item level levels up. So don't put too much stock into the specific number because numbers don't mean anything to us right now. Then we also have the footgear of the Cannonball. This is going to have martial arts, reduces the cooldown of your melee skill by 50%. So pairing that obviously with the other mod would end up being huge. Phantom Dash. During combat, your default role is replaced with Phantom Dash, which enables you to quickly pass through enemies. That's phenomenal. Like, that's just such game-changing pieces of stuff. Oh, I missed the mod here. Cannonball. Killing an enemy with a melee skill replenishes ammunition in your current magazine, and that's the set bonus here. And you need to have 3 pieces of the set to have that active. So that's going to be, that's going to be the whole Cannonball set as a part of this itself. So that's freaking amazing. All right. And then we have Captain Hunter, increases your damage against elites by 20%. That's nice. Personal Space grants you a 25% bonus to close range weapon damage. I like that a lot. That sounds freaking amazing. Moving up to the head here, we've got Purity. Reduces the duration of negative statuses by 75%. That's very handy, especially if you guys got frozen in the demo. That is so, I love freezing enemies, but it sucks when they freeze me back. Bloodlust. Killing shots increases your firepower by a large number, stacks up to 3 times, and deteriorates every 10 seconds. Wow, that's awesome. And then eventually, or finally, Vests of the Cannonball. We have Not Impressed, reduces the damage taken from elites by 20%, so we have the boost to damage to them, reducing damage from them. Buckshot shells, shotgun weapon damage is increased by 15%. Pairs well with the, with Golem's Limb in that case, absolutely. All right, here we got the Martial set. We've got Wide Horizons. Endless Mass increases the skill's radius by 25%. Life Absorption, Gravity Leap, heal for 100% damage dealt. If your target dies, heal for 200% damage dealt. And then Endless Mass pulls enemies and makes them share damage. And the Endless Mass, if you haven't seen, that's kind of like your gather them together and then you can just kind of like slam into them. So just note that it's definitely a very powerful effect here. Then we've got High Intensity. Endless Mass anomaly damage against affected targets increased by 33% for 5 seconds. Human Comet. Gravity Leap increased the skill damage by 159,000. So just note that this is a huge thing to pair with, obviously, with Endless Mass, because you can group them together and then you can slam down into them and thus Like you said here, Endless Mass pulls enemies and makes them share damage. So all of this sitting here kind of creating a cohesive build, a cohesive mindset for destruction. Then we've got Marshall's Waistcloth. Adrenaline, whenever your health drops below 30%, all your skill cooldowns are reduced by 50%. And then Bone Crusher, Endless Mass, increase the skill's damage by another 30,000 units. Jeez Louise, like they are stacking up. Endless Mass in this case, that's fantastic. Despair, Gravity Leap. Enemies with damage radius of Gravity Leap will receive 1.5 times more anomaly damage for 5 seconds. And then Bleed Them All. Endless Mass inflicts bleed on all enemies pulled in by this skill. Endless Mass was not a part of the demo, so I'm very excited to kind of get hands-on with that. Then we've got the statue set here. This is the set bonus. Using the Tremors or Golem doubles your firepower and doubles your weapon skill Leech for you and your teammates. That's huge. Then you have Grant Blast, increases the radius of the explosion by 20%, and Perseverance increases your skill's duration by 50%. Man, geez, like I love the mod system in this game. It's just freaking crazy. All right, then you've got Power of Stones. Tremor, when your skill is active, allies are given 40% weapon damage bonus for 8 seconds. I really wish we had a kind of a ping system in this game because nonverbal communication in that case would be huge to be able to communicate. Hey, I just used this. Make sure you've now got this bonus. Unleash. And then you have Crush Sequence. Receive 2 additional explosions. Oh, man. All right, that sounds amazing. And then we've got Not Impressed. We've seen that before. Reduce the damage taken by elites. And then Human Fortress. Receive 2,000 health, regenerative, and 149 armor while the skill is active. That's phenomenal. That's for Tremor itself. Then we've got our Made in Marble. Golem, when the skill is active, incoming bullets have 20% chance to ricochet back at the enemy. That's nice. Bleeding Impulse. Golem, when the skill is active, spawn radical impulses that inflict bleed on enemies within 6 meter radius. The frequency is of 2 seconds, so to speak. Let me just make sure I got this one as well. Golem Squad increases the skill's duration by 20% and casts 25% shorter version of Golem on your allies. So that's buffing your allies. And then Tremor, increase the percentage of healed per affected enemy by 6% for stolen life as the modifier there. Okay, so those are the Devastator sets. And now let's jump into the Pyro sets in this case. It looks like Torturer's Gloves, Gooves. We've got Introvert, increases the range at which enemies are considered to be close range by 2 meters. That's very handy. The Pyro, I'm stuttering, sorry. The Pyromancer in this case is that mid-range like combatant, and you want to be able to mark as many targets as possible. So having that close range bonus, even though you're still further away, is going to be huge. Ash Blast, apply additional damage to the affected enemy, and Burn now consumes that status. And the set bonus here is triples the size of volcanic rounds, damaging aura that surrounds each bullet. So that sounds like another AoE masterpiece. Then we've got Anomaly Echo. It grants additional firepower and anomaly power bonus for skills activation for 15 seconds. And then you have Ash Blast. Skill deals additional 60,000 damage in this case. Moving on to the Waistcloth. We've got Ash Blast is the skill, increases your weapon leech bonus by 40% for 6 seconds. And then you have Volcanic Rounds. The skill is effective for 1 additional magazine before triggering the cooldown. That's the extended extra mag for Volcanic Rounds. Sounds amazing. Then you have Susceptibility. Volcanic Rounds decreases the resistance of enemies' damage by 25%. And then you have Radical Flames for Volcanic Rounds. It's going to, enemies damaged with the skill are afflicted with weakness. So that's just continuing to kind of crowd control, kind of continue to just rain down death as the Pyromancer. And forgive the cough, guys. Still, hopefully we'll be finished with this cold here. Here in a day or two. All right. Death Sentence, Ash Blast, your weapon damage and anomaly damage against enemies afflicted by this skill are increased respectively by 20% and 20% for 5 seconds, excuse me. Armor Melting. Volcanic Rounds decreases the target armor by 20%. So you have that armor decreasing. You have that weakness that's getting applied. That's just going insane in that case. All right. Torture's Mask. We have the Ash Blast weapon damage. We just kind of covered that. Looks like that was kind of a holdover here. Set 2, maybe we have a little thing that's Torture's Vest. Those all kind of look similar, so I guess we're going to jump into here. Looks like maybe the webpage messed up a little bit. Anyway, Helmet of the Lava Lich. Ashen Champion. Phaser Beam inflicts ash on enemies instead of burn. Each enemy hits boost your anomaly power by 15% for 10 seconds, and it stacks up to 5 times. Magma Coat. Eruption increases the lava damage over time, in this case by 40,000. And the set bonus for this one is increases damage and decreases cooldowns of Eruption. So that's not bad whatsoever. Then we have our Upper Robe of the Lava Lich. Not impressed. We've seen that before. Reduces damage by from elites. Then we have Giga Blast. Increases the skill's radius by 100%. Massive, massive, awesome there. All right, so that's that, and then we got here. So then we've got improved damage. Eruption increases explosion damage by, in this case, just under 70,000. Size matters. Phaser beams increases the beam's radius by 100%. That is also incredibly huge. Etna, Eruption skill can be activated one more time before triggering the cooldown. Very nice. Pure Firepower. Phaser beams increases the skill's damage by another 60,000. And then finally, we've got Even Odds. Increases the maximum health by 5% for each enemy within 10-meter radius around you. Stacks up to 5 times. That's huge. Volcanic Armor. Phaser Beam reduces the incoming anomaly damage by 25% and weapon damage by 25% when the skill is active. So that is the Lava Lynch set in this case. Here we go, Pyro set 3. We've got the Helmet of the Akari. That actually looks really cool. I haven't really been commenting on the looks of the gear itself. So that, holy smokes, that looks amazing. All right, Fire Tsunami. Heat Wave increases the width of the firewall. Ember Shield Overheat increases status consumed by the skill. Increase your resistance by 10% for 10 seconds, and it stacks up to 5 times. The Akari bonus is every enemy damaged by Heat Wave grants 25% anomaly power bonus for 10 seconds. Then we've got the armor, in this case. Detonator Overheat decreases the skill's cooldown by 50%. And Tidal Wave Overheat. This skill can be activated one more time before triggering the cooldown. Not too shabby. Here we go. The Anomaly Echo grants additional firepower and anomaly power bonus for skill activation for 15 seconds. Eradication Wave. Heat Wave inflicts weakness on enemies afflicted by the skill itself. Then we've got the Strength from Fire. Heat Wave, using the skill, grants 10-second 15% weapon damage bonus for each enemy affected. There's no stack limit on that, guys. There's no... That's... Wow. Blacksmith Overheat. Each status condition consumed by the skill grants additional armor bonus for 8 seconds. And then finally... Loading. Master Consumer Overheat. The skill consumes either fire or ash status and deals damage. Consuming both at once increases the damage by 150%. And then Hellfire Heatwave. If the skill damages 3 enemies, all subsequent enemies will receive an additional 30,000 damage in this case. So that's getting really, really awesome. And I'm sorry, I love these legendary sets. These modifiers are just game changing. All right. Trespasser is the Trespasser's Talons set here. Player can't die while inside the slow trap. Well, holy freaking smokes. Okay, there we go, Trickster. You win. Anyway, Pain Transfer, Time Rift. 10% of weapon damage and 30% of anomaly damage dealt to one affected enemy will transfer to another affected enemy. And then you have Double Time. Time Rift. Enemies are suspended in air 2 times longer. That's I love this. Delivery on time. Slow Trap. Activating the skill replenishes ammo for every ally's current equipped weapon in the sphere's range. And then Long Range. Time Rift triples the skill's range. Wow. Oh, wow. And then again, you can't die within that in that skill trap. Then you have another one. Time Rift. Shots on enemies affected by the skill do not consume ammo and a little bit of pain. Time Rift. Using the skill deals 60,000 damage over 10 seconds to afflicted targets. I think that was this one. Nope. Okay, so there we go. Stare into the barrel. Boost your firepower for additional enemies at close range and stacks up to 5 times. Weakening Zone. Slow Trap. Enemies entering into the sphere are afflicted by weakness. So you can't die. They're weaker. Like, this is just taking that time bubble and making it like god tier. Then you got Damage Mitigation. Slow Trap. Allies within the sphere receive 20% less damage. Ultimate Big Range. Slow Trap increases the sphere's range by an additional 2 meters. So that's not only expanding the sphere, but even increasing the sphere, again, more for the Trickster itself. All right, so that takes us into the, it looks like Ugain's Oroths. In this case, the Hunt the Prey does not consume cooldown when teleporting behind an enemy marked with the Ventilator's Knife. Okay, that's good to know. Boomerang Blades, Ventilator's Knife. After the initial ricochet, the knife will repeat its path and damage enemies a second time. Time Blast. Hunt the prey. Apply slow in 5-meter radius around the enemy that you teleport behind. Then we've got the Sniper Blades. Venerator's Knife increases the skill's range by 50%. And Dance of Death. Hunt the prey decreases the skill's cooldown by 20%. That's, man, it's hard to really comment because Trickster is so freaking good, and being able to teleport behind people and to be able to do that more often and not trigger the cooldown, that's just going to have Trickster like bounce all over the place. It's going to give them, I mean, just so much movement capacity here. Anyway, Instant Reload, Hunt the Prey. Teleporting instantly replenishes your magazine in your current weapon. That's nice, especially for me who sucks at, or like I'm always reloading. It'd be nice to be able to just kind of like pop in and not have to worry about that. Eager Edges, Ventilator's Knife, adds 2 more bounces during its ricochet path. Let's see here. We've got Ready for Anything. 10% critical damage dealt to elites return to you as health. And then Backstabber, Hunt the Prey, using the skill, deals an additional 80,000 damage to the enemy that you actually teleport behind. And then we've got the Boots here. Not impressed. We've seen that. Reduces damage taken from elites. And Sharpening, Ventilator's Knife, increases the skill's damage by like 23,000 points. Then on to Trickster set number 3. We've got Death Shell. Well, actually, the Chrono Suit here, reverting time replenishes ammo in your clip. Death Shell, borrowed time, killing enemies while borrowed time is active, reduces incoming weapon damage by 10% and anomaly damage by 10% for 10 seconds. Buff is removed at the end of the skill, and it stacks up to 4 times. Then you have additional mag, Twisted Rounds. The skill is effective for 2 magazines before triggering the cooldown. Aggressive Teleportation for the Chrono Mask. We've got Borrowed Time. Reverting time creates an explosion around you that inflicts, 180,000 damage. Nothing too big right there. To all enemies within 8 meters. And Strong Twist. Twist rounds while the skill is active, increases weapons firepower by an additional 15%. Then you've got Ammo Bargain. Twisted rounds while the skill is active. Killing shots replenish 20% of your ammo in the magazine. And then you have Armor of Eons. Borrowed Time. Activating the skill increases your armor by 100% for 10 seconds. Boop, boop, boop. Then we have Life Drain, Twisted Rounds. While the skill is active, killing shots will heal you for 15% of your target's health. And then Short Term Loan, Borrowed Time, reduces the skill's cooldown by 22%. And then finally, we've got the Foot Gear. Shield of the Fallen, Twisted Rounds. When the skill ends, add 18% of your maximum health as a shield for each enemy killed by the skill. And then you have Diffuse. Sprinting increases your armor by almost 500,000 and resistance by 50%. So that just, like all of these, I would love to know, like out of all this, and we still got to go into Technomancer before we go into the weapons, what's standing out to you guys the most? Like what is the most impressive to you so far in all of the sets? All right, so Torrential Downpour Leg Armor. We've seen this kind of teased on Twitter. Same thing with the Chrono Suit, but we'll just go ahead and go into it in case you didn't see those videos. Head of the Ward. Reviving an ally fully restores their health. Very handy. Then more damage. Shrapnel increases the skill's damage by 150,000. And the group setting here. Shrapnel creates additional cluster bombs after explosion as part of the set here. Then you've got Arms and Anomaly. Critical shots increase your anomaly power. Then you have Anomaly Echo, 2 tier 3 mods on this one. Grants additional firepower and anomaly power bonus on skill activation for 15 seconds. 1 second. We're actually, like on this set, like it looks like that's actually a different one with it doesn't have the group thing here. Anomalies Vestige. Interesting. So just kind of pay attention here. From that, we've got an additional thing here, and that's okay. All right, guys, additional headgear that maybe they're still kind of finding all that information, and another whole set for Technomancer over the others. So definitely not a 3-set game. The Downpour Goggles, Breathe In. Fixing Wave reduces the skill's cooldown by 20%, and Shrapnel additional mine can be thrown before targeting or triggering the cooldown. Then we've got Anomaly Echo, grants additional firepower and anomaly power bonus on skill activation for 15 seconds. Fine Tune Shrapnel increases the detection and explosion radius by 33%. We've got Quartermaster, Fixing Wave. Activating the skill replenishes one weapon's magazine for each ally. Cooldown of 45 seconds. And supplies. Shrapnel, one additional mine can be thrown before triggering the cooldown. So at that point, you're actually at 3 additional mines. Then you've got the Trap Cluster. Doubles the number of mines that can be thrown before triggering the cooldown. So you've got that essentially 6 mines. And then you have Cleansing Wind. Fixing Wave. Activating the skill removes negative statuses from allies and grants 5 seconds immunity to them. And then you also have the cluster bombs and all that. So you're just kind of raining all kinds of explosions down on your enemies. Let's go into set 2, the Grim Innovator's Mask here. Now the set bonus here is while the Tool of Destruction is active, a confirmed hit with Pain Launcher refuels 20% ammunition for both minigun and the RPG. This only happens once for each Tool of Destruction usage. Okay, we'll have to play around with that to kind of get a real idea of what that truly means. Rocket Man, Tool of Destruction, you can fire 3 additional rockets. That's cool. Upgraded Gun, Tool of Destruction, active minigun grants you 25% resistance and piercing bonus. Then we've got our Grim Innovator's leg armor. The Special Delivery, Tool of Destruction increases the rocket's explosion radius by 25%. And Portable Armory, Tool of Destruction, you can fire 1 additional rockets. Stacking up rockets left and right. Then we got Not Impressed. We've seen that before, that reduction against elites. Advanced Rockets, Pain Launcher. Every rocket deals an additional 30,000 plus damage to the enemies themselves. Then we got the coat here, Cannonade. Pain Launcher increases the number of rockets launched by 10. Fortify, Tool of Destruction. Active minigun grants you 40,000 armor bonus. And that is huge. And then we go into the boots. Bigger sector. Pain Launcher. Launched rockets cover 45% more area. And Rain of Pain. Pain Launcher decreases the skill's cooldown by 34%. So that is all about that Pain Launcher build in that case. And then we go into the Waistcloth here. So the set bonus for this one is increased weapon damage on frozen enemies by 80%. Also, crit damage is increased by all party members by 10% for 8 seconds after using the Cold Snap ability. Okay, that's really cool. So if you're not aware, for the this class, melee and the AoE melee will have a freezing effect applied to it. So you got Cryo Down. The turret decreases the skill's cooldown by 50%. Plus you also have your Cryo machine that can freeze enemies. Freezing Boost boosts your damage against enemies afflicted by freeze by 20%. Okay, so then we've got Icicle Storm, Cold Snap. Killing enemies frozen by the skill makes them explode during with additional 20,000 damage in a 5-meter radius. Then you have Frostbite. While frozen by the skill, enemies have reduced armor by 34% for the duration of the status effect. All right, let's jump into this helmet, and that looks insane, right? All right, so then we got Twins, Cryo Turret. 2 turrets can actually be placed before triggering the cooldown. Painful Chill, Cold Snap applies an additional 30,000 damage to all enemies afflicted by the skill itself. So that is huge. Also more freezing power going out, both melee and your turrets. Then we've got the Captain Hunter, increases your damage against elites by 20%. We've, I think, seen that before. Then we have Surprise Cryo Turret. The turret explodes before being destroyed, dealing 43,000 damage in a 6-meter radius in that case, which is great. And then you have Sharp Eye, killing enemies while aiming down sights grants you basically 100,000 firepower for 20 seconds, and it can stack up to 3 times. And Cold Purification, skill activation removes negative statuses from you and your allies in range, receiving negative statuses immunity for 5 seconds. So all that pairs incredibly well with a sniper rifle, because you freeze enemies and then you're doing more damage to enemies, and then also if they blow up your turrets, they're gonna do damage and more to themselves. All right, Technomancer set 4, bonus set for the Technomancer in this video. Okay. We've got the Plague Shower. Upon applying Toxic Status Effect, gain 5% damage reduction for 5 seconds, and that will stack up to 5 times. Our Med Burst Blighted Turret. The turret replenishes 35% of maximum health to each ally within a 6-meter radius and around yourself when destroyed. Spare Mags, Blighted Rounds. The skill is effective for 1 additional magazine before triggering the cooldown. Okay. Then we've got our Splash Boost. Blighted Rounds increases the splash effect radius of successful shots by 50%. Euthanizer deals 20% more damage against enemies afflicted by toxic in this case. Then we've got Power Assimilation, boosts the anomaly power by 150,000 for each elite present on the battlefield. Then you have Trick Up the Sleeve, Blighted Rounds. While the skill is active, killing shots grant you 30% extra bullets in your magazine. We have the To the Bone, Blighted Rounds. When the skill is active, increases your anomaly power by 30% for 15 seconds. Then we have No Pain, No Gain, Blighted Rounds. When the skill ends, 40% of the damage dealt by the skill is turned into healing and spread equally among your allies. And then finally we have Enriched Anthrax, Blighted Turret, increases the turret's damage by another 8,000 points. Then Better Parts, Blighted Turret, increases the turret's duration by 50%. So, guys, we made it through the armor section of this video, and there's still plenty more to go. So if you guys have made it this far in the video itself, sound off with armor is hype, and then we'll do something at the end of the weapon section, so I know kind of where people want to bounce in, bounce out. If you made it to this part, if you skipped over the previous parts, hopefully you go check them out. There's some insane builds to go through right there. So, legendary weapons, pump action shotgun. Again, just like before, we're going to kind of more focus in on the mods here, as well as any kind of other perks that the weapon itself brings. But this has Elmbor's range. For 8 seconds after killing shot, all following shots will be critical shots. It's huge, and that's a shotgun. Okay. Then you have Clip Roller. When your magazine has 50% or less ammo left, you can roll to quickly reload all of your weapons. I love that. Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay. Legendary automatic shotgun in this case we have, and that's Death Shield. Looks great. Fortress, receive up to 43% damage bonus based on your armor. In Striga, we have this already in the demo. 30% chance of 30% critical damage is returned to you as health. So that's a wonderful tanky shotgun. Legendary revolver, Lucky, pinball. Every critical shot ricochets to 4 enemies within a 5-meter radius, dealing weapons double base damage. And then you have improved toxic bullets. Shots inflict toxic on enemies, and that's got a cooldown of 4 seconds on that. Then we've got Disintegrator. Yeah, okay, anyway, I'm sorry, dyslexic. It sucks for you. I learned to deal with it. All right, Strings of Gauss. Shots link up to 5 enemies in a 5-meter radius of the target and deal an additional 90,000 damage to electric damage to each of them. Cooldown of 2 seconds. Soul Devour. Killing shots regenerate 8,000 points of your health. So that's that. We now have, it looks like, a legendary rifle. Ravenous Locust. Shots create a swarm of locusts dealing a lot of damage over 15 seconds and inflicting weakness to enemies remaining within 6-meter radius of the target. And it's got a cooldown of 2 seconds. Brain Eater. Critical shots do not consume ammo. We've got Brain Eater in the demo. It is very handy for sure. All right, moving into a legendary assault rifle, Inferno Seed. Wrath of the Moloch. Critical hits cause an explosion, dealing additional damage and inflicting burn on enemies within a 5-meter radius, and it's got a cooldown of 3 seconds. Brain Eater. Critical shots don't consume ammo. Look at this beast of a monster. Roaring Umbra, legendary light machine gun. Kinetic Stomp. Shots create a seismic shock around you, dealing additional damage for 5-meter radius and a cooldown of 3 seconds. Bleeding Bullets. Shots inflict bleed on enemies with a cooldown of 8 seconds. Then here we go, Blight Bearer. We've got the Burst of Decay. Critical shots cause explosions that inflict toxic on enemies within a 5-meter radius. Then we have Resistance Breaker. Shots decrease your target's resistance by 35% for 6 seconds. All right, moving on. Legendary Pump Action Shotgun Anomaly Effigy. Concentration Blast. Killing shots cause enemies to explode, dealing additional damage multiplied by the maximum number of 0 enemies within a 5-meter radius around the original target. Weakening Bullets. Shots inflict weakness on enemies with a cooldown of 8 seconds. That's... oh man, I want all of these. Another legendary pump action shotgun, Enoch's Blessing. Life and Death. Killing shots creates a blast that restores 33% of health to players. So that's not just you. And then Gravedigger's Frenzy. Critical shots increase your critical damage by 50% for 5 seconds. Then we've got a legendary rifle, Twisted Mercy. Ultimate vulnerability bullets. Shots inflict vulnerable on enemies. Then you have Brain Eater, which is that critical shots do not consume ammo. So those pair up well, especially if you're able to land those crits. Fatal Symbiote. This is a legendary submachine gun. Dark Sacrifice. Dealing during combat, your weapon drains up to 50% of your maximum health in exchange for 75% weapon damage bonus. Then you have Bleeding Bullets. Shots inflict bleed on enemies, and the cooldown is of 8 seconds. So that is kind of that blood mage that I'm going to sacrifice my life, and I'm going to get more damage out of that fact. Then Heir to the Desert, legendary assault rifle. Sandstorm as my voice cracks. Shots and conjure a sandstorm dealing additional damage over 5 seconds, cooldown of 5 seconds with bleeding bullets. That means inflicts bleeds on enemy. This looks like a cryo thing. Time Ripper, legendary assault rifle. Ultimate stiffening. Shots inflict slow on enemies. I love that. Critical shots increase your critical damage by 50% for 5 seconds as well. So again, like if you guys aren't aware, like your weapons, like you can have powers that aren't a part of your class just through your weapons. So all these weapons are obviously not class based. Master Tool, legendary assault rifle. Dome of protection. Killing shots summon a bullet stopping dome for 5 seconds with a cooldown of 5 seconds. Then you're instantly replenish your magazine if you kill an enemy within 30% or less ammo remaining in your magazine. Cooldown of 0 seconds. Wow, that Master Tool, that looks like a real winner in my opinion. All right, the Reaper, legendary light machine gun. I like the look of this guy. Ultimate weakening bullets. Shots inflict weakness on enemies, and then death chains. Shots entangle enemies in chains, dealing additional damage over 3 seconds with a cooldown of 2 seconds. Kick awesome ass there. Anomaly mutation for the Mind Mugger, legendary automatic sniper rifle. Shots inflict by statuses condition multiplicates and mutilates it into a different one. Okay. Shots on enemies afflicted by any status condition. Oh, it changes the status. I was confused there. Damage link. Shots link up to 4 enemies, sharing 30% of their weapon damage dealt and 10% of their anomaly damage dealt with a cooldown of 4 seconds. We got Damascus Offering. We've got Claymore turret shots and damage enemies, 4 enemies within a 3-meter radius, and Anomaly blades dealing additional damage. Anomaly enhancement. Receive a passive firepower boost equal to 30% of your anomaly power. Thus, you want to be able to stack up more of that anomaly power. Then we've got Absolute Zero. We've seen this before in different previews. We've got Ultimate Freezing Bullets. Shots inflict freeze on enemies. Improved Vulnerability Bullets. Shots inflict vulnerable on enemies with a cooldown of 4 seconds. And then finally, the last one in here, the Headhunter. We've got Burst of the Decay. Shots, critical shots cause explosions that inflict toxic on enemies within a 5-meter radius. Then you have Vampire. Killing shots grant 50% skill leech boost for 20 seconds. So, this has been a long video. I thank you if you made it all the way to the end. What stood out to the most to you? What is the weapon that you absolutely can't wait to play with? Let me know. Obviously, we haven't seen every weapon in here. Obviously, we haven't seen every legendary piece in here. Obviously, we haven't seen the epic stuff in here. I think it's pretty safe to say that we're going to see a ton of this kind of stuff in the game itself, especially because I didn't see many of the demo stuff that we've already seen, but we have seen the stuff they've teased in different videos and more. So now, whether all of these end up day one in the game, as my voice cracks as I'm finishing this video, let me know what you think. Is this exciting? Is this, honest? I would think it would be somewhat exciting, especially if you're checking out the video, but I know this is on the long end, so I'm going to wrap up. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you didn't like the video, hit the dislike button. If you feel like it, let me know what you think in the comments. Hopefully you hit that subscribe button, come back and check out more content here on Ginger Prime. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm kind of I've talked a lot, and I'm more or less looking forward to hearing your thoughts. But again, guys, I love you very much. Thanks for being here. Hopefully you have a phenomenal day, and I hope to see you in my next video. But until then, take care. This video is sponsored by me, Ginger Prime. Hopefully you'll check out my podcast channel, Ginger Gaming Radio, which we have lots of guests, lots of great conversations, and even more highlights. Links are in the description below. Let me know what you think. Thanks.